And we're live. Hi, this is Dawn Nocera, and it is Hangout, Empire Building Mastermind Hangout, episode number 18. And I'm so glad that you are watching. You are joining us, and we're going to have the link should be posted on the event page, so you can hop on in and join at any time. We'll get started right away. So let me know if you're watching from the outside, where you're hanging out from, and what you're drinking. I am drinking water today. I don't, you can't see it really, it's just plain water, but I put a new little branding message on the bottom. Let's see if it'll show up. It says Empire Building Mastermind Hangout.com, where you can join us every week to watch the live hangout. So hop on in if you can. I'm going to add some people who I know are excited to be here. So if you get added. There's Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hello, Dawn and Ingrid.
Yay. And where are you hanging out from? You got to come in, say where you're hanging out from. Let everybody know.
I'm working on clicking all these things that Google wants me to click and approve, and notification muter needs your permission in order to start. I'm clicking it and it don't do squat.
Well, I think there may be some very interesting things going on with Google today, because when I started my Google Plus application today, it said, you know, not available. The whole app wasn't available. So I was like, whoa, wait a minute. That can't be.
That was some wonderful manifesting then, darling. I'm appreciative. Okay, I'm accepting, I'm clicking, I'm seeing Andrea's smiling face frozen forever.
I see you. I can see you, Mark.
Can you see? Oh, too bad. Oh, it's got. I have this soft focus on it, looks like, on me.
You've got the nice outer glow.
Oh,
Dawn, you're looking fabulous.
Thank you. I've been out in the sun a lot, so I'm feeling very sun-kissed, we'll say. Thank you.
All right, I'll stay with that. I had some fun mask in the background. I am Mark. There's only one of me, I hope. So do other people. And I'm here from Thousand Oaks, California. And I just walked the dog and made the drinks and went to Tai Chi, and it's all good. I'm ready to bust down my invisible fences.
Awesome! That's what we're going to do today. That's awesome.
I'm going to get a coffee. I'll be right back, guys.
All right.
You're not presentable. We have to look at your frozen face there.
She likes to stay frozen.
All right. Well, I'll think of you as melting or something like that. Okay.
Well, yeah, so this week we're talking about invisible fences, the things that stop you from doing the things that you want, the things that stop you from achieving your goals, becoming who you want to become, building the empire you want to build, and really adding your spice, adding you to the world in the way that you're meant to be here. So we're going to talk about that, and it's going to be hopefully enlightening. We're going to mastermind a little bit, because that's what this really is about, masterminding, coming up with new ideas, sharing our experiences, and really coaching ourselves, getting together, and discovering new ways to build our inner and outer empires. So that's what we're going to do today. Hi, Robin.
Yay, Robin.
Hey there. Hi. I muted and unmuted.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, everyone.
I have to apologize to Robin. The week we met on Mastermind, I ended up in Santa Cruz overnight, and we forgot to call you.
Oh.
I know. One stop, two laps. We're good. Next time, it won't happen.
Next time. I would love that.
Okay. We hadn't planned it. We just kind of were there and decided to stay overnight, and it was wonderful.
Wow, I'm glad you had a good time.
We spent a lot of the day in Capitola.
Oh, yeah. It's
in
so
Capicola or eating Capicola?
Oh, neither. Capitola.
Capitola. Okay.
What a difference a phoneme makes.
So, just give everybody that, like, whoo, that brief overview once again of what empire building is about, because I really want everyone to get into the habit of thinking about your business in a very linear way, and then put all of that creativity in these different the steps that you need in order to create an empire. The first part of empire building is that E. Hi, Robert. I'm going over and explaining what empire building is all about, so I'll be finished in just a minute if we can get into this overcoming invisible fences. So empire building is all about creating the business that supports your lifestyle, that supports your dreams, and really supports you and your manifesting yourself in the world that makes sense to you, because your empire is going to be different than everybody else's. So starting out, E is about creating ease of mind. And that's really about creating the inner empire that you need in order to move through the rest of the steps of empire building in a very easy, effortless, and there won't be, I'm not saying that there won't be opportunities for growth. It just means that you're going to be set for success. So the E is about setting yourself up for success. M is about making that offer. It's about creating a meaningful offer that you love to market. And then the P is about preparing to profit, and that's the marketing piece. I is about sales, inspiring action and taking inspired action. That's where the your offer and your preparation and your clients' needs and their wants and what they need from you kind of meet. That's where the magic happens. From the I, then we go into that result. So the R is about creating a relationship with your results, where you're paying attention to the results that you're getting from your sales, results that you're getting from your clients, what they're telling you, some feedback, and you're really looking at your calendar, creating a great relationship with your time, with your money, with your resources, and with all of the results that you get in life. And you don't have to do that part by yourself. You can outsource any piece of this, really, but it just needs to be done. The very last E in empire building is about expansion. At this point, you can expand, create new products, and decide what you're going to do next, but you do that through expressing yourself more, through engaging with JV partners. You can do that through entertaining your current clients or creating entertaining environments for future clients. So expansion is that last E, that final, the bonus R in empire building. And if you get this, you're an empirer. And I know that sounds so crazy, and it's not an emperor, it's an empirer. Kind of like a pirate, I guess. But at that point, when you get the R, you get to really sit down and rest and receive the results of the seeds that you've planted in your business that really create that easy and effortless expression of who you are. And you're always set to, when you expand, you're always set to go back to the beginning. How can I make this easy? What do I really want? Because your next step may not be the same as your first step. So you might have different goals, different desires in the next stage of your business. This works for, it doesn't matter what kind of business that you're in. You can sell widgets, you can sell services, but we're talking about coaching, and we're talking about consulting, and we're talking about service-based businesses here. So welcome, everyone. And welcome, Robert. And specifically today, we're going to talk about how to overcome the invisible fences that will stop you along the way, and they'll trip you up, even though you set yourself up for success by creating that ease of mind. I mean, overcoming invisible fences is something that you're going to have to do along the way. And somebody, what do you have there, Mark? What are you?
Robert's book, which I'm reading.
Awesome.
I just wanted to give a not so invisible plug, because I think this is a sensational book, and it helps me break down my invisible fences all the time.
Can you hold it up again?
I can hold it up again. Look, Rob. It's your book.
Manifesting.
Is it backwards? Backwards on
No,
this.
it's perfect.
No, it's perfect.
Goody.
Oh. Do that again, Robert. I like that one.
What do you do?
He's just got money for
Nice, nice. Okay. Oh, okay. Put the money in here. Okay, it's all right. It's all right.
It's all right, Quickstrap.
Poor Joe. Yeah, I'm actually taking a course on healing, and the assignment was read one spiritual book and give a book report. So I chose this. So now I get to read it over and over again, and I'm sharing. I just wanted to get the shameless plugs out of the way right in the beginning. For Robert. Yay, Robert. All right. Anything to say about
Yes, Robert, what do you have to say about that shameless plug for your book? You're muted.
How perceptive of you to notice, Mark. That's all I'll say.
Okay, well, I want to ask you offline about buying a bunch of them so I can give them out as gifts to the people in the class. We will talk later. We will cuss, fuss, discuss.
There you go.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah. I thought I could either book report it or I could just give it to them and say, "Here, read it yourself."
I'll give you a deal.
Such a deal. All right. Well, we just broke an invisible fence, Dawn. I'm not sure that was...
Meanwhile, now that we've completely taken over Dawn's Hangout.
This is about you guys. And there's some kind of expansion going on there, so that's good.
So, Dawn, tell me what you mean by invisible fences.
That's a great question. So, the invisible fences are they're the beliefs that you have. They're your paradigms, the ideas and thoughts that you've carried with you since childhood that sometimes you're not even aware of, but they're stuck inside of your subconscious. They're just waiting there for you to take action, and the action as you move forward gives you the opportunity to see what these invisible fences are, because you won't see them. This is a real keeper. Write this down, because you won't know what your invisible fences are until you actually meet it face to face.
Well, when you're challenging it. In a
What's
way.
that, Andrea?
When you're trying to challenge, yeah, I know what you mean. I've been there. You want to move forward in your life, so you do that stuff. You hire a coach. You're going to build your business. You're going to work on yourself. And then all this stuff came up in me, like out of what I thought nowhere, but obviously was just laying somewhat dormant, but not really. I reactivated it, and then it wanted to swallow me alive.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Are you talking about that?
Yep, that's what we're going to talk about, because they're really in how you know that it's, and I imagine, okay, so in my 12 Seeds of Wealth coaching program, it's got one of the very basic premises is that you plant seeds, right, for success. And if you plant the right seeds, the seeds of money, and you're planting seeds of health, and you're planting the seeds of habits and attitudes. I mean, these are just, basic principles. I didn't invent them. I got them from, other people who are much smarter than I am. I just Dawnized them, just softened them up a little bit. And one of the ideas, though, is when you're planting your seeds in your garden, I mean, this is really the garden of your mind. This is your inner empire, if you really want to think about it. It's your inner empire. And when you're creating this inner empire, you're expanding, you're actually growing. So, have you ever planted a garden and just watched it kind of expand? And that's really what happens when you're planting the right seeds. It expands. If you don't plant any seeds with intention, the weeds take over, and I'm like the worst, really the worst with gardening. So we have like monster weeds that I'm like, where the heck? Come back from vacation, like there's a tree in our yard. It's horrible, but it's true. But so if you don't actively plant seeds of what you want, and seeds of like growth and expansion, and it's not seeds of goals. I mean, I really kind of want you to get this, because the goals will come to you if you plant the seeds that you want, and it's just seeds of who you really are. So as you're planting these seeds in your garden, I mean, you can imagine that you have this beautiful, nice white fence that goes around it, right? a nice white fence that goes around your garden. And as you're expanding yourself and you're actually getting closer to your, what you imagine is your goals or your ideals, what you want, it's almost as if everything that you want is on the outside of the fence. So the invisible fence is there, and I'm giving you an image, which is a real, tangible white fence. But it's really just an invisible fence in our mind that keeps us from getting what we want. And just to kind of put it in perspective, I guess that fence is, and it's the paradigms, and just think about this. And what I imagine, if I really want to be consciously aware of what that fence represents, I imagine that each of we live in like horse country, so there's a lot of those white horse fences around. I imagine that each one of those white wooden planks between the fences has a word on it, and those words are doubt, worry, fear, indecision. And Napoleon Hill wrote about those in Think and Grow Rich very extensively, but they're kind of inside. These are the things that you have to overcome if you're going to manifest what you want. So, hi, Cameron. Glad you can join us. And this is what we're going to talk about today, is overcoming these invisible fences. So it's really simply just doubt, fear, indecision. And when you're thinking of that fence, it has a purpose, and the purpose is to keep you safe. Okay, it's a paradigm. And it's, your parents created belief systems around certain things to help you stay safe in your environment. It's just kind of an environmental issue, like how did they feel about different things when they were raising you. A lot of parents will say to their children, stop, don't. I mean, those are creating paradigms. So, as soon as they feel like they want to go do something, they hear in their mind the invisible fences of stop, don't, it's not safe. And what we have to do is we have to overcome these invisible fences consciously overcome these invisible fences. And how do we do that? And here's the greatest part, and we're going to talk about what are your invisible fences, because and how you have overcome them in the past, and maybe mastermind some different ways to overcome these invisible fences moving forward. Because really remember, like, your clear vision of what you want is going to always be, until you have it, it's going to always be on the outside of this invisible fence. And I'll share a visualization at the end of this Hangout to help you kind of do some magic so you can become a more conscious manifester. So yeah, so that's all the invisible fences is. It's really just paradigms. And in a company or in a business, and in big businesses, this is the paradigm of the culture. You can call it the culture of the business, and it's the culture of the communities that you live in. I mean, depending on where you live in the world, different things will seem very unsafe. Can you imagine, people who go out and they track, large animals? I would think that would be crazy and totally unsafe. It would not even be in my realm of, like, possibilities, but there's people that do that all the time. And I'm not an advocate of, big game hunting at all. So, please don't send me any crazy mail about that. But the idea of what we think is safe in other parts of the world, they just don't think, or, what we think is not safe, other parts of the world think is totally normal, and vice versa. And I've got about 1 million different ideas to share with you. I mean, even about food. I mean, if you can just think about what we think is safe for food and what they eat in other places in the world is just like polar opposites. And if you've ever traveled to China, you know what I'm talking about. So I've eaten stuff that I have no idea what it was, and you just have to go with trusting and have a little faith. So all right, so I have got to the end of my breath, and I am going to open up the Hangout for insights? What are your thoughts? What are the invisible fences that you are overcoming or have overcome? What did you overcome? Yes. And what do you have to share with other people that might help them in growing their empire? So it doesn't have to be so hard, because really that's doing what you love and creating a business that is designed to help and support you should be the easiest and most natural thing that you do. But we've got all of these invisible fences that we really have to deal with. So, your turn. Raise your hand if you want me to. There goes Mark. You're on.
Oh, my hand went down again. Oh, it's up.
Oh, it was
There's
up.
an invisible fence pulling it back. Fear. Fear would be my number one, but I think indecision and doubt, a close second. Good stuff. That's it. That's my share. Those are my invisible fences.
Yeah, those are big ones to overcome. That's one of the reasons I think that, having coaches and having somebody help you get really clear on what your vision is so important. And that's just a plug for all the coaches out there in the world, is that clarity is just, it helps you know how to make a decision.
Well, I'm sorry, I was reading the chat at the same time, and I thought Rob McPhee said, thanks for nothing, and I realized it was thanks for noticing. Again, what a difference a phoneme makes. Oh, my.
Oh, all right, Robert, you're up.
Well, it's interesting because when I first saw the topic and you first started talking about the topic, I thought this is a great topic, but what the heck does it have to do with masterminding, which has been, kind of the central theme of a lot of our conversations. But as you were talking about it, I realized it's absolutely perfectly on track with masterminding, because we do all have our invisible fences. I actually call them attachments in the realm of my work. My big one is concern about what other people think, wanting the approval of others. And it does. It gets in our way. And I think where it connects back to masterminding in such a powerful way is that sometimes our mastermind groups or our accountability partners, the people that we look to for support, are the ones who can spot those fences when they're completely out of our vision, when we can't see them ourselves. And I see this over and over again in groups that I participate in and groups I facilitate, that people are being held back by their own inner invisible fences, as you call them, and they don't even see it. It's totally on a less than conscious level, and yet for their fellow mastermind members, they'll just go, well, do you realize that you're doing this and it's preventing you from doing that? And you go, oh, I had no idea. So I just wanted to bring up how it connects back so perfectly to the importance and the value of being in a good mastermind group with people who can spot those fences for you, and also people who are willing to step up and actually share it with you, not just tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, so important. I mean, that is so right on, because I know that there are, I have so many invisible fences, and I won't even begin to, list them. But I, done this work for so long that I know that I can name them when I'm feeling them. Like, what does that feel like? But I cannot recognize most of the invisible fences, even now. I mean, after kind of labeling them and studying them and having words for them, because when you're in them, you're not even consciously aware that you're responding to an invisible fence, or that you're at your invisible fence. And it's really like standing there and the goal's right in front of you, and you're standing you're on the fence, right? Have you heard that phrase, like you're on the fence? It's just so unbelievable that we don't even know when we're on the fence, that when we're right there ready to break through, and yet we're feeling like we're struggling so hard. And that's kind of the point when you feel the most like, dang, this is like so hard. It's because you're so close to your invisible fence, like you're leaning right up against it and you're pressing against it, as opposed to having your mastermind partners really help you take a look at what's really going on and saying, this is what you're doing. And yeah, so I'm going to share with you some other ideas of some other things that can become invisible fences, but those were Napoleon Hill's big, he calls them the 6 ghosts of fear. If you want to go into the chapter of Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, and really look at those 6 ghosts of fear, they're the invisible fences that will stop us. Fear of poverty, but it's those doubt, worry, indecision. It's really those tiny feelings that we feel. And we don't like to feel fear. So we just kind of stop ourselves instead of moving through it. And I love Joseph Campbell's quote, which is, the cave that you're afraid to enter holds the treasure that you seek. And I just think that that's probably the most brilliant, most true quote in my life. I know that everything that I've ever been afraid of has been so amazingly rewarding for me. And number one, having children. I'll tell you, that's been like the biggest. All my life I was afraid of that, and it's, to me, has been the most rewarding thing. And as a mom, I mean, everybody's going to say, yeah, of course you're going to say that. No, seriously, it's changed me in ways that I could not have imagined. So that's my plug for parenthood today.
Wow.
So, anyone else? Robin, do you have thoughts or ideas on invisible fences?
Well, it's funny that that's the subject today, because I had done a little bit of work with this woman, maybe 2 months ago, just one session, and she does this thing called Psych K, and in that conversation, it was like there was something in my subconscious was, just say, I can have what I want, and she's like, feel into that. I can have what I want. She's like, yeah, right? Like I have a limiting or a fence or whatever that I can't have what I want. It's probably from when I was 6 years old, but and I was just thinking, how come I thought I did work on that? I thought that was gone. Well, it's not. It's still there somewhat, but it's my job, I guess, to with conscious language or whatever tools. Or taking action. It sounds like what you're saying today is that instead of being astonished when I feel, oh my gosh, that's still there, it's more like, oh, I must have crossed some invisible boundary that's pushing back, and wow, that's great. Okay, let's keep going. Instead of having it stop me, like, okay, we're getting somewhere. So that's kind of what's coming up for me.
Yeah. And I'm going to say that that's right on. And Cameron, I hope that you can unmute yourself and join, because you're typing in some great stuff on the side. I'd love to hear your feedback. But one of the things that, Robin, when you were just talking about that is that you really picked up on the one thing that if you know the thing that will stop you every single time, you have your power. I mean, like, that's really your key to success. And because it happens every time, it's like you don't have to. You're not going to really create, new paradigms, especially if you're moving forward and you're working on self-development and you've got a mastermind group and you've been getting great coaching and great feedback from them. You're going to, the same stuff is going to come up every time that you get to that next level. But you're going to learn new things about yourself, and you might learn like, oh, I didn't realize I was afraid of this, or I didn't realize that I was having an indecision about this, or I didn't realize that I'm afraid of, what other people, or afraid of making a mistake, is what Mark's was. I didn't realize that I was afraid of what people thought of me. Oh my gosh, like that's paralyzing. What will they think? Just imagine. What will my tribe think? What will my family think? What will anybody? Will they disown me? I mean, this is kind of one of my big things. So, will I still have a family when I went through this? And it's BS. I mean, it is the biggest BS, meaning belief systems. That's my, interpretation. The BS is belief systems that will hold you back. So, Cameron, tell me, what are your thoughts? I see you're writing some stuff, but would you share some of that with the rest of the group?
Yes, one of the things that came to mind while you were just talking is about perspective, and that there is an outside view, what I describe as an outside view, and an inside view. The outside view really has to do with thinking as far as how people view me, having a concern as far as, well, the actions or decisions that I make is based upon what I believe others will think about me, as compared to an inside view, meaning who am I, knowing myself and taking action based on what I want to do, not concerned or not the main concern as far as how others view me. And so that's where I'm at as far as with an inside view. Now, don't get me wrong, I do value other people's opinion, but that's what it is. I take it as their opinion and then I take that and then look at myself. So it's not that I ignore it, it's just that it's not the main thing. It's more so as far as the outside view is like being a people pleaser. Because you end up losing yourself through other people, and then you're never really satisfied or fulfilled yourself.
Yeah, I'm with you. I am so with you. And this is, one of the just, yeah, I'm just going to take a deep breath with that one because I think that, being a people pleaser can get you really off track of your life purpose. And you think you're so on purpose when you're pleasing other people and that you're doing things to serve the world in a greater way. And I'm not saying that we get ourselves totally off track, because I believe that we can't be totally off track. I always think that we're always right where we need to be at the right time. But the thought that goes around with, people pleasing, does it fill you up? Does it energize you? Does it add more vitality and more life to who you are? If the answer is no, then that's a people pleasing problem. That's not a life purpose. And there's people that have a life purpose to really just serve people in a one-on-one way, where that people pleasing is not a people pleasing, it's really a service that comes from their soul. That's just not what most people's life purpose is, and not necessarily mine either. But thank you for sharing that. I thought that was just right on the point. Andrea, do you have thoughts on this? I see you kind of amening to Cameron.
Yeah. Now, one of mine that I found, and it has nothing to do with people pleasing, but yet it does tie into, I was defining myself through how somebody else had defined me in their own mind. Get that? So, yeah, that takes, that's definitely been work for me, is when I realized that that's what I was doing. I was defining myself through the eyes of somebody else, and that somebody else doesn't hold me as a positive object of their attention. Everything was negative, so that was where I was coming at myself from. So, and I was never doing anything to please this individual. So, yeah, Cameron, you're right. There is the outside opinions of us from others, and really what other people think of us is none of our business. True. We've sure all heard that expression. And then there's the inner, how we think of ourselves. And I thought I really thought of myself, didn't really have those self-worth issues, only to discover that I was viewing me through somebody else's eyes. And I'm really, and I'm blessed that I have discovered that, and I found that root to that weed. So, it's my little share.
Good, thank you. Thank you. Robert, did you have something that you were popping in on?
Well, I did, and I appreciate Andrea sharing that, and I think it's a really profound piece of wisdom, and I know I can really relate to it, and it makes me realize that that kind of inner judgment that shows up kind of seems to work against us either way, because if I understand what she's saying correctly, she's kind of taking on someone else's kind of poor opinion of her, and it reminds me how easy it is for us to do that. When someone has a poor opinion of us, it's easy to kind of take that on, and we have to really make a conscious choice not to do that sometimes. But it also works in reverse, where sometimes when people have a really high opinion of us, people think really well of us. If we don't think really well of ourselves, it's also It's not like that other person's really high opinion of us, overrides our own low opinion of ourselves. As I was listening to Andrea, it just made me really acutely aware there seems to be kind of a lowest common denominator approach. It's like we'll go ahead and hold on to whichever one is the lowest, unless we make a conscious choice. And again, unless we're surrounded by people who are going to encourage us to do otherwise, and to embrace kind of our true skills and talents and the contributions that we make and the gifts that we have and all that, the good stuff versus the less than good stuff that just somehow seems to be easier to hold on to for some reason. So thank you, Andrea. That was profound for me to hear you share that.
Well, thank you. And you know what, Robert? You're absolutely right. And just one other thing I just kind of want to add to that, because as I'm viewing myself and what I did and the torture I put myself there with, and the stuff that, and this is in my case, it's a sibling, so it's been from my whole life, and they're much older than myself, so it's been something that I didn't pay attention to for a long time in my life. Then it kind of got me due to life, but it's their made-up shit. It's all of their made-up crap. And I feel really great to know that it's their made-up crap, but have I been able to let go of it? And that's the stuff that even as somebody who works with other people on helping them do the work that they got to do, we all have that stuff right in between our two ears. And now I can see, as you brought up earlier, Robert, of where the mastermind group, and when you're in that right group with those right individuals, and everybody is there as the support, the encouragement, the knowledge, everybody's bringing what everybody's bringing with. This is a huge part of it because we show up in our lives, hopefully, right? We're showing up. And some days that stuff is going to show up, and you want to be in that right mastermind group where the other participants aren't going to just, as you had made comment to earlier, Robert, tell you what you want to hear. Sometimes there's that, wow, I don't know if this is going to be, like how uncomfortable this could be, or are they ready to receive this, or would they be open to this? So, yeah, a mastermind group obviously is meant for so much more because there's so much to the wholeness of our lives and our business. So I'm at the end of my breath now. Thanks, guys.
That's my line. I have just wasted my breath.
I stalled it for a second, Dawn.
Mark.
I have a procedural question. Can you or I adjust the screen so it always pops up the person who is talking?
Can I?
Can you or can I? Or can
you can by clicking on the boxes at the bottom. It's called blue boxing. If you click on somebody's face, you can adjust to whoever's face comes up. You're in control of who you see on your screen. I'm in control of who is seen on the outside by everybody else. So right now I don't have any blue boxes on, so whoever makes the most noise pops up. And if you cough while somebody else is talking, your face would come up, but I will blue box it if there's extra noise. That means that I will keep it focused on one person's face while they're talking.
Does that do anything?
Yeah, you just did it. And then Robin or Andrew just did it too. See, we're all going back and forth right now because we're all talking.
Yeah, I'm saying you, so I have to actually click on a box to see the other person.
Yeah, or you can unclick me because you probably have a blue box around my face.
Got it. Okay, now somebody call, please.
Mm-hmm. And if you unclick it so there's no blue box around anybody's face, it should just pop up whoever's talking. Got it?
I got a white box, but okay.
Okay. I've got a blue box. You've got a white box. Somebody else might have a pink box. I don't know.
I feel boxed in by that comment, but we will on to the serious stuff. I was trying to place my predilection for creating clutter as a stumbling block. Ah, look, Andrea must have moved because now her thing is on the. Nice. Okay, and there's Robert. He must have called. I say, okay, and there's you. Okay, I've got it now. It takes me a little while, but I'm on the horse. And I was thinking, well, clutter, that's not quite an inner fence. And then I realized, okay, if I go back to fear, indecision, and what was the other one? Doubt.
Right.
That certainly has to do with creating the clutter and maintaining the clutter. So then I dug a little deeper, and it is my old friend from, I don't know, first grade or something. Fear of making a mistake and being seen making a mistake. So if I'm, what's the word? What's the word when you put on a costume? I'm costuming. I'm acting.
Hiding out.
Yeah. I'm hiding out as a nerd. Then if I make a mistake, the nerd thing falls apart because I'm a brainy nerd, right?
All right.
So if I make a mistake, it's like, oh shit, my whole act is gone. Now that's been gone for a long time, but not inside. There's still a remnant of that. So the fear of making a mistake, I'm finding, is ending up in not choosing a focus. And if I don't choose a focus, and if I leave all the thousands of things I do well as options for my business, then I can never make a mistake choosing the wrong one. That I figured out while we were all talking.
Yeah, that's huge. That is so huge, and you're not the only person that has that. I mean, like any person.
Really? I feel blessed already. Good.
You are so not the only person, and that is probably, and especially so. You just talked about a couple of things that I'm going to add to, and one of those is
for 1 minute.
Sure.
Because the second beat of it was not choosing the focus. The second was not really diving into the clutter or creating the clutter, because what if I throw this out? I could make a mistake, right? Yeah, I could have clear path to my goals, not having to trip over crap that I've kept from 20 years ago. So as soon as I get off this call, it's back into the garage, loading up the stuff for the Goodwill. Wish me well, and everybody visualize my car overflowing with crap for the Goodwill for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that is, and here's something that's really an aha for hopefully many people that may watch this. It's kind of like the higher your IQ, the more afraid you are of being wrong, and the more you are going to be afraid of making decisions. And this is not new science. They've done a lot of research for. I used to have a website called Educating Jane to help girls who are very highly educated basically make it in the world, because the smarter you are doesn't mean that you're going to actually succeed in life. It's actually more difficult for some people without life skills, right? But one of the things that they found out, and this is maybe 20 years ago, is that they found out that the more intelligent you are, the harder it is for you to make decisions about what you're going to be in life. And some of the most intelligent people with the highest IQs are doing things that don't require them to think at all. Does that make sense?
Andrea, dumb me down. Make me stupid. Put your hand against the thing. You're stupid, Mark. Good. That's my takeaway.
It's okay. It's really okay to not have it right, to not know what you're going to be when you grow up, to just play with it and figure it out. And this was, I above average IQ, did a good job in school, could not make a decision really on what I wanted to major in. I majored in a lot of things before I kind of just decided to do the easy thing, follow the path to engineering. That was the easy thing because it's just math and science, right? There's nothing else to it. No philosophy, no foreign languages to study, and but I know a lot of people who graduated with me who were in the top of the class that had such a hard time making decisions about what to become if they didn't already know that they were going to be a doctor, if they didn't already know that they were going to be a professional. We'll just call it those professional fields, because kind of the combination of a high IQ and high creativity is just it can be tough for people like yourself, maybe, Mark. And the fear of getting it wrong, it will sometimes just, have you creating chaos, so you don't have to make a decision. And my guess is that might be what you're doing. Mark, with all of the chaos.
Just typing down what you're saying, and then I'm running it in the chat so I can copy the chat afterwards.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that was just so funny, and I have the same issue. So I'm not going to lie about it.
Sister!
I mean, if I write something down, if I read a book, I've got, I take books out all the time because I read so much. I'm constantly taking books to half-price books, and now I've got Kindle, so I can keep them all digitally, so it's all good. But anyways, I totally get what you're talking about, and you're not alone. And just, what? Who cares if you get it wrong, right? I mean, you almost have to think in terms of who cares, how you're going to, who cares? But it's not always the easiest thing to do when you are, a high achiever, somebody who does think of themselves as an intellectual person, somebody who's got great ideas. From what I say, you may not know that I'm actually very smart. Sometimes my words don't let you know. And if I stutter, it's only because I'm intelligent. I'm just teasing you. So overcoming invisible fences. I mean, that's really, we do all care if we do good. Or Robert says he cares. I mean, I do care.
Something else?
Yeah, go ahead.
Me coming to know myself, and by the way, I'm still learning about myself, is I noticed that when I have a fear, what I tend to have, what I've done in the past is sort of back off, which ended up procrastinating and then never getting done. So finding that or learning that pattern about myself, when I see that beginning to happen now, is what I do is I poise myself and actually run forward and through it.
Yeah. And that's really the magic formula. Okay, so you feel yourself procrastinating. So procrastination is really a form of indecision, right? And your tactic for moving through that is action. And that's kind of how I started out the Hangout today, is just saying, really the only way to overcome invisible fences is just to kind of take that forward moving action. And I've always called this just lean into your success. You don't have to know it all. You just have to be willing to lean into the invisible fence, because eventually it may just fall over, right? If you lean on it long enough, it may just kind of topple. But it's really about taking action when you kind of feel that I don't want to take action anymore. And I've got the same thing, Cameron. One of the things that I know is, for me personally, when I feel like, oh, I don't know what to do, I will back off of society. I won't show up. I just will be like, oh, I'm taking a long vacation. And it may be, a couple weeks, and so now I'm like, okay, I just have to get out, get out more often, get out, be on a hangout, get out of sometimes it's just getting in places where there's lots of people around me. And so that's just one of my tactics to keep me moving forward, because I could be a hermit. I could be the Joseph Campbell's the entering the cave that you're afraid to enter is the one that holds all the treasures. I could be the person that's just in that cave waiting for you to come on in. Anyway, so other thoughts, because I want to leave you with a great meditation I think that'll really help move this forward.
Yes, I have another thought.
Yes.
Right when you were saying, the only way to deal with the invisible fences is just to take action, now I realize why precognitively I was holding up this book by Robert. Because the major premise of the book, I will have him state it much more eloquently than me, is that normally people take action and move towards their goals, and a lot of times there's a better way. And that's what this whole book is about, is to take a step back first before the action and start asking, who am I? And getting real clear on what my contribution is and what I have to offer, then taking that action. The actions become different. I'll let him say it, but boy, this is really a wedge where I think the two of you, the Empire and the Master Manifestors blends and can really fertilize each other. Go ahead, fertilize, Robert.
That is the worst segue I have ever had.
Okay.
No, and I appreciate Mark's just shameful plugs of my book. And I do think it goes back to what I was saying about this idea of invisible fences. The way it shows up in my work is what I call attachments. And I think there are a lot of people who set goals and get immediately into action, and they might be creating results and they might be busy, but a lot of times they're having a miserable experience of life. The results they're getting don't last. And a lot of times, if we take just a little bit of time to look at these invisible fences, the things that get in our way, the beliefs that are behind some of our behaviors, it can give us a whole new path to kind of get to the same place, but get there more quickly and easily. And the other thing I wanted to add, and Dawn, you were kind of bringing up the intelligence quotient and how sometimes people who are really intelligent end up in really surprising situations. Like, you'd think they'd be like, the head of the class and, racing ahead and very successful, and that's not always the case. One of the things my wife and I learned when my oldest daughter, who's very academically gifted, was going through school, was that the system is not designed to get the most out of those people. And from a very early age, we talk about where these invisible fences come from. These really smart people in our society, if they're in the school system, they're being taught that the better they do, the smarter they are, the more work they get. So their reward for being smart is to get extra work. So on some level, it's not surprising that when people are given the opportunity to really be brilliant and fully show up as who they are and just be magnificent, they don't do that because they've been taught that the reward for that is more work, and in many cases more kind of mindless, redundant, useless kind of work. So it's something really important for people to be aware of as they're dealing with really brilliant people, that there may be kind of underlying beliefs like that about what happens when we fully express ourselves and show up fully as who we are.
Yeah, and really, I mean, I've done a lot of study, about that, and it's helped me tremendously with my children, because my children are all very smart too. And we're kind of off topic, but yet not off topic, because it happens for the people that are in our communities, the people who are that we're working with in a mastermind group, with our mastermind partners. The smarter somebody is, it doesn't mean that they know who they are, because they've been programmed, kind of to be the people that can do the work, that can get the work done. And I know that's, a part of the reason why I have created this, and, this environment and this knowing that I feel like all of the universe is just like down on me saying, what, hard work is not the answer. And you're talking about that with, taking more action doesn't mean more attraction, okay? More action doesn't mean more attraction. And the action, aligned, and usually it's just aligned with what you want. When you take forward action, it should be a joyful experience, and we'll talk about that. I mean, Mark, you asked, where does empire building and that step of manifesting the way Robert talks about in his book kind of come together? Well, if you've really created that ease of mind, that state of mind, and that first E, that's really that mental stuff, getting clear on what you want. It's more about just the ease of mind, but it's about creating an idea of what you want, creating an idea of what kind of lifestyle you want, knowing what your invisible fences are. We're talking about that today. And knowing that you want to create a type of lifestyle that fits your goals, that fits with your family, and that supports everything that you do. And once you know that, and work on just eliminating or pulling the weeds, sweeping them off when they come up, and those weeds are going to be those doubts, those worries. And when they come up, you go, oh, wow, that's an interesting old thought. And you just sweep it away, meaning, kind of just acknowledge it and say, that's an old thought coming up. A lot of times what people do is they will say, how did this get here? Like they try to go back in their mind and say, where was that original seed planted? And they really spend a whole lot of time going back there. And that's good for coaching sometimes in therapy. And actually, as a coach, we're not really supposed to go back. That's kind of a therapist's job. But as when what I have found is that when we go back and we recreate the past and look back, we're actually activating more of the same in our current vibration than we can if we can just say, oh, that's interesting. I don't need to have that be a part of my reality anymore and look at it as, oh, that's an old thought, old BS, old belief system. And you can pull it out just simply and with ease and move forward instead of creating a lot of anxiety and stress around it. Any other thoughts before I get into this quick visualization? I think I might have shared this with Mark. I'm not sure, but any other thoughts?
I have one quick thing. When we were talking about mistakes, it came to mind about a person who used to teach a lot of improv, and what she told me was that when you're giving improv, the person who sort of fails the best, like who goes down in flames, that's the one that we identify with the most, and it's where connection gets created. And so our fear of being seen with failure or mistake or whatever is actually completely the opposite. Like when people see us giving ourselves and even willing to give that much, that's when they feel connected to us, which is what we really want. So I'm saying that for myself because that's an area for me to step across an invisible fence of feeling afraid even right now to say this, but I know that it's true. We'll create more connection by just...
Oops. I so wanted to hear this. I think you just froze up, Robin. Okay, so Robin froze up. So
unfreeze.
Unfreeze, Robin.
Works in the hypnotism show.
Yeah.
Maybe she can type it in.
Well, if you can hear us, I think she might... Is she there? There you are, Robin.
It worked. It worked.
I don't think you really dropped, but you were just getting ready to say your point, and then you froze up.
Okay.
Did you want to finish that? Does anyone remember exactly where she stopped? Oh, yeah. Nope. Okay.
Tell her she can talk. I think she doesn't realize we can see and hear her now. We can hear you, Robin. We can probably hear you too.
Speak, Robin.
She says that we're still kind of underwater. Okay, so she's.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I just dropped something's happened.
Oh my gosh.
All that, I don't know what you heard or didn't hear, and it just was about in improv, when we totally fail and go down in flames, it's what is the most powerful and creates the most connection, and that was an encouraging thing to me, to be willing to just go and be myself, and knowing that that's going to maybe look silly or something, but the connection that will come out of it is likely to be much more of what I want than by looking good and fitting somebody else's mold, like when we were talking earlier with Andrea about that there is a sort of a way that looks good. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yes, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta love technology. So somebody else is ringing. Their phone is ringing. But it's
about my ukulele.
Oh, it's the ukulele. So we're gonna have like a music thing going out of here. You guys can play the music while I do my little visualization thing, because I want you to have options for visually and really getting into overcoming those invisible fences with ease and grace, and having and just understanding that the things that you think are the most difficult in life really are just BS. I mean, it's really BS, and I kind of have to laugh at sometimes, what we do to ourselves with just these belief systems and invisible fences and this mind stuff that goes on, and it's not real, but it's, for some of us, it's more real than anything that we experience during the day. So here is this little visualization. So if you can, in your mind, imagine, we already talked about this, the white fence, right, going around. So kind of close your eyes, get into a state of mind where you are feeling yourself in your own garden, where you have planted the seeds that will attract the clients that you want, the seeds of your direction, your goals, what direction you want to grow in life and in your business, that you have a clear vision of kind of what you want to experience and who you want to be in the world, where you have planted seeds of a great attitude, that you have really planted these seeds in your garden. Remember, it's that inner empire. Your garden is your inner empire. You planted all these seeds, and that the clients that you want will be so attracted to the fruits of the fully ready to harvest plants from these seeds. So you're in there, you see that nice white fence that goes around your garden. Now imagine that you're in your garden and you see just beyond the fence, and you see the thing that you really, really want, the thing that you kind of think is not possible for you. Maybe you have had this thought, maybe you don't even know that it's not possible. I'm going to say that if it's not in your physical experience right now, that there are some invisible fences keeping it from you, because what you want wants you. So there's all the things that you want to experience in life and how you want to express yourself in the world. It's just beyond the invisible fence, if you're not already doing it. Everything that you don't have, that's been kind of in that way you've been waiting to manifest, is sort of outside of the fence. Now I want you to kind of feel really confident in your ability to be in your garden, knowing that there are zero weeds in your garden, that the fence is there, and you get to imagine in your mind that you have total control over this fence. You get to decide what to do with the fence. Does it stay there? Does it keep you safe? Can you, maybe when I first thought of this, I thought of, if you've seen that movie, Honey, We Bought a Zoo, or We Bought a Zoo, whatever that movie is that they bought a bear and they needed to extend the fence. They needed to push the fence back like 20 feet. So you have this power to imagine that fence moving out and including now all of the things that you think are outside of your fence. So now, instead of the things that you're trying to manifest just being on the other side of your invisible fences, imagine that your invisible fence is now protecting the ideas, the fully manifested realization of your empire, of the life that you want, the relationships that you're trying to build, that harmony, that peace, that expanded version of yourself. Your invisible fence could be expanded to now include all of that. Some people imagine that the gates just kind of swing open on the invisible fences, so you have free access to move in and out of your garden and gather and invite whatever you want into the garden, whatever you want. There's other people that when they're thinking about leaning into that fence. Remember, they feel that struggle and they feel that leaning into it. They just kind of feel themselves or imagine themselves leaning into the fence, and the fence just kind of going poof, kind of just falling out, just down. So there's no fence. It's just flat. So there's no barriers between you and what you want, which is true. Some people imagine, like if you can't imagine yourself physically doing anything with that fence, you might imagine, your angels or your creator or, your higher self kind of like reaching down with these gigantic hands and picking up that fence and kind of like throwing it up into the air, and it comes down like confetti everywhere you're looking. But that's all it takes to allow yourself to have what you want, is just imagining that you have control to either lean into it, get rid of it, expand your boundaries, go boundless. It's your choice. And depending on where you are in life, one of those different ideas is going to resonate with you a little bit more, and it's going to be the perfect idea for you for moving forward. So if you want to share, like what was going on in your mind, what did you imagine with, your fence? I'd love to hear it. You can put it in the chat box, or you can just raise your hand. But that's pretty much all it takes. And I say pretty much all it takes. I've done this visualization with a lot of people. It creates a sense of relief. And I hope that that's created a sense of relief for you, that it's not so hard, that overcoming the things that you feel that are stopping you are really just, you can just poof them away. Bye, Robert. I see you have to go. Anyone want to chime in before they go, before they come off? Mark?
I am relieved. I am expanded. I was also going back in and pulling up the weeds.
You were?
Yes. Because that's where the doubt, the weeds are the doubts and the hidden fears and the stuff. And I felt like that was a good reinforcement.
And probably great motivation for your work that you're actually going to be doing the rest of the day. Yes, I'm imagining that's going to be a lot of weed clearing for you. So good job.
I was on my knees pulling out the weeds.
Oh, that's awesome.
In the garden meditation, I ask people to use it as a representation of their inner mind, and to close their eyes inside the garden, to close their imaginary eyes.
Oh, great.
And use their body almost like a Geiger counter or a kinesthetic sense of where in the garden there's a great place of power, like a vortex of power, and then to walk to that with their eyes closed and stand inside it or sit inside it or lay inside it, whatever feels right, and feel themselves charging up with power. Then they open their eyes, their imaginary eyes, and they see what that place looks like in the garden, and they remember it for futures when they go back there.
Yeah, that's really powerful. If we had more time, I would have probably have gone into a much deeper, and more, hypnotic type. But that was good. The visualization is really awesome. So
I was going to have one.
Yeah. Yes.
And after that, I have them go to the place of love. Same thing with love. When I did that with a 6-year-old about 30 years ago, she opened her eyes. She looked at me and said, "Well, Mark, those are the same place." I said, "Yeah, thanks. Okay, moving on." Because, yeah, right, got it. We need those kinds of differentiations in the same place.
Right, not a 6-year-old.
Once the person's charged with that, then they go and take the weeds out. Like you were saying, the hand of God moving the fences, that sense. But this time, it's them empowered completely with this infinite source of power and love. And if they need more power, they go back to that place, charge up until they have enough energy to pull out the weeds.
Yeah.
Then they take the weeds and they burn them.
Yeah. And here's the really cool thing. I mean, like if you really understand the power of your mind and really can practice this. I mean, I've been practicing this for a very long time. So, when you begin to be somebody who practices using your mind in the way that it's meant to be used, or creatively, whatever that means to you, is that you realize that you do not have to be the person pulling those weeds. I believe in grace 100%, and I believe that I am infinitely loved, and that's just the way I roll. And I think my weeds need to be pulled. You know what? I've done a lot of my own internal work, and I think, I don't know what all these weeds are. And, you wake up in the morning, and I just posted this on Facebook. Don't tell the Google people this morning, but I just posted this on Facebook. That, like if you can wake up in the morning and just decide that you're going to pull some mental weeds or get them pulled, like have a, an angelic weed pulling moment. And then you just sweep those, thoughts of doubt, indecision, and fear out the door in the morning before you get going. Your day will just be so much more free and expansive and ready to do the things that you're meant to do in life. I mean, not wasting time, not adding to more clutter, but really being more focused, being more clear on what you want, and taking those actions moving forward. Andrea has her hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that was great, your visualization. And today, I started with fresh soil.
Ooh.
Yeah, which was really nice. Nice, big, big, big amount of just clean space, fresh soil, and brand new seeds.
Oh, and you know what that represents?
Thank you, Dawn.
You're welcome. We could go on forever. I'm going to tell you what that represents. When somebody tells me that they're starting out with fresh soil, and I am not going to smell that fresh soil, Rob. The real fresh soil, not the manufactured fresh soil. But that represents the fact that you are ready to start with a brand new attitude. Because when you're planting the seeds, and it's really the attitude it's the soil, I call it the seed, but it's the soil that you plant everything else in. When you have a can do, a willing attitude, an attitude that says, I am in the flow of abundance, and that attitude that is just, positive, self-appreciating, grateful, those are the things that are so attractive. So whatever you put into that good, yummy, nourishing soil is going to manifest easier, quicker, with more ease, more grace, and I am that I am, and that's really wonderful. So I applaud you and appreciate you for sharing that you got the new soil, because that really is an indication that you are accepting a new attitude, which is a huge gift to the world. So thank you.
Thank you.
She's got
And Robert B's book, Mark is sharing.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
There you go.
I've really gotten just at that one point. I know I segued poorly into it, but where we find the invisible fence, and I remember my dad always saying, "Okay, take action, action, action." And while it's true, and you can get on a steamroll for a while, it sometimes wears out because you really haven't connected to cleaning, to moving the fence, if you will,
Right.
Or to doing it out of anything but frustration, or I got to get it out of the way, or what, rather than really taking back that power, taking back that. And I think, like Robert was saying, you don't have to spend a whole lot of time doing it, but take that one step backwards for a moment and go, wait a minute, who am I? And why am I here? And then taking action from that place is a lot stronger. You can hold the intention longer, I believe, and it gives you a lot of insight.
Yes, and if I could just add to that for a second, I love what you just said, Robin, and I really have gotten to understand this through listening to so much of the Abraham stuff going. But and it's about, because I could see where I kept going into this action mode, right? Because, those are on other paradigms that I was running on the stuff that's been implanted and a bit of the brainwashing that I had going on up here because, don't want to be viewed as lazy. I don't want to view myself as lazy. Oh, but if I'm not taking action, and I wasn't receiving the results that I had intended to want to receive from my taking action. So through the teachings of Abraham and just so appreciative for immersing myself in it, I can see for myself I was not aligned with what I wanted. So it didn't matter what action I was going to take, the results would not be because there was not an alignment to. And I can now see for myself, and as that teacher, as that uplifter, and it's important when you're working with other people to do our best, or for me to do my best, and not have them kind of spin on the crap that's up in my stuff. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do I make sense, guys?
I got crap that's not my stuff. That was great.
Okay, so for me, so for myself, in this last little while, I've really been able to identify some very important things.
Yes.
And when I translate that as to the work that I do, and where I place myself out there in the world to say, hey, work with me, to receive certain results that you want in your life, I can see why I had to come through this, because if I'm going to claim myself to be that teacher or that uplifter, I got to be careful because there's some shit that I've been running on. Making sense?
Yeah. And, and we can only, I know you know this, but we can only, we're going to attract the people that are ready for us to help them no matter what level we are at, no matter where we're at. And I hope that kind of helps you understand that you really, we shouldn't be afraid of working.
Oh, no, I don't mean it like that.
Okay.
I don't mean it, I mean in terms of now, for a while there, let's just take the word goals.
Right.
So working with clients, I wouldn't use that term goal because it kind of didn't like, just for lack of a better word, the meaning, the definition of where I could see, it being used so much out there. But I didn't really understand why it didn't resonate so greatly with me. But
Right.
now I really understand, and if a client was to say, but I want to set some goals, I can see the importance of, for them to get amazing results and kind of not have to be that rat on the wheel like I was. Do you understand now?
Yeah, okay.
Better what I'm trying to say? Yeah, no, not afraid to work with people or any of that, but I can just see through my own internal journey and all of this stuff, the where, the why, the how, and it's just all great, and I love my fresh soil.
I do too. I think it's awesome. Any
And
final
I
words?
can see with Robert's book what he's talking about, just from your crappy segue there, Mark.
Thank
Mark,
you.
I love it. But yes, that align. We need to be in alignment with our action, or we'll make ourselves crazy.
Amen.
Amen.
Let's get a little ukulele action here.
There you go. We can do a little ukulele action going out of here, and we'll have the
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Dawn. Bye-bye, Andrea. Bye-bye, Robin and Cameron. And Robert already left. Robert already left. Here goes our mastermind. It's going now. I wish I had rehearsed a little bit, but what the hell? We had so much fun. We moved our fence. And that's a thing that we won't have any more defense. Bye, everybody.
Yay!
Bye. Yeah, okay, that's enough.
Bye, everyone.
Background.